Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being truly well-informed. Today we're doing something a little different. We're looking at how specific English words aren't just, definitions, they're tools. Powerful ones, actually. They paint pictures, stir feelings, and can even, well, tell a whole story. So our plan today is to use 5 key words to build a narrative. It's a way to really get the nuances and see their impact.
Exactly. It's like we're showing off the architecture of language almost, seeing how words aren't just isolated things, but bits you can connect.
Yeah.
And when you put them together right, they build scenes, feelings, a whole story pops into your head, like building blocks.
Okay, so let's lay the first block, the foundation for our story. It's the word sprawling. When you hear that, just picture something huge, right? Maybe a bit messy, spreading out everywhere.
Yeah, sprawling. Fundamentally, it means extending over a big area, but in an untidy or irregular way. But what's really interesting, I think, is what it implies about, well, unintended consequences. Think about a sprawling city. It's not just big. It often suggests growth happened without much planning.
Right.
And that can lead to problems, fragmented services, maybe long commutes, even a sort of diluted community feel that just grows alongside the buildings.
And our story starts in exactly that kind of place. Let's call it New Haven, a truly sprawling city, full of contrasts. You'd see these glittering skyscrapers, really tall. But then right next door, these old, almost forgotten neighborhoods. Like the city just grew over them without really noticing.
That nails it. That's the nuance sprawling captures. It's not just large. It suggests this kind of uncontrolled, almost organic growth outpacing design. You see it in cities, obviously. But you could also talk about a sprawling bureaucracy, maybe, or sprawling data. It hints at complexity, disorganization, that kind of thing.
So in this huge kind of chaotic New Haven, we meet our main character, Elias. And his own situation sort of mirrored the city's feel, especially where he lived. Which brings us neatly to word number 2, precarious. Precarious. The basic idea is something not held securely, likely to fall. Or collapse. Like, imagine a Jenga tower where only 1 or 2 blocks at the bottom are holding up the top. That feeling of instability.
Yeah, definitely unstable.
But what makes precarious really potent is how it captures this existential uncertainty. It's more than just risky. It suggests you don't have control, and what happens next is genuinely up in the air, like standing right on a cliff edge, maybe?
And Elias lived in this small apartment, right, tucked away on a really steep hill in New Haven. The building itself even felt a bit precarious. It leaned just slightly to one side. You felt like it was barely clinging on. It was this constant, unsettling reminder of the city's older infrastructure, maybe crumbling a bit.
That's a key point. We don't just use it for buildings. Think about a precarious job or a precarious peace treaty or even someone's health. It communicates vulnerability. You're depending on chance or maybe just a really thin thread holding things together. Makes you think about what could be lost.
Elias definitely felt that precariousness at work, too.
Yeah.
He was tackling this really tough project. And his state of mind during all that.
Well, that leads us to our third word, alternately.
Right. Alternately, it just means switching back and forth between two things, like feeling alternately hot then cold, or maybe trying to focus on 2 different jobs, switching between them. It's that rhythm back and forth.
Exactly.
But its real strength is capturing that dynamic oscillation. When something isn't fixed, it helps us grasp the ebb and flow, the push and pull, in a way that just saying sometimes doesn't quite manage.
So Elias was working on designing a new public park for New Haven. A big deal. And his mood was textbook, alternately optimistic and frustrated, total seesaw. He'd have these amazing moments like, yes, this is it, creative breakthroughs, and then bam. Long periods of just hitting a wall, feeling totally stuck and defeated. Oh yeah, that sounds familiar when you're tackling something complex, doesn't it? And that oscillation, it's not just personal. Think about economic cycles, boom and bust. Or political trends, maybe, backlash and momentum. They work on that same alternately principle. The word helps us describe these nonlinear things where it's not a straight path, but more like a dance between 2 poles.
So Elias is stuck in this loop, hopeful one minute, crushed the next, alternately. And the project itself had problems. Not just Elias's mood. Which leads us to word 4, describing the actual park design. Flimsy.
Flimsy. Okay, so easily damaged, weak, not well made. That's the core. Like a really thin piece of paper, maybe, or a chair that wobbles when you sit on it. You get the picture.
Right, not strong.
But digging a bit deeper, flimsy often suggests more than just physical weakness. It hints at a lack of, integrity. Or substance. We talk about a flimsy excuse, right? Or flimsy argument, something that just won't hold up, no real strength there.
And that was the problem with the park design. Unfortunately, it was pretty flimsy. The city council had slashed the budget, really tied Elias's hands. He was forced to spec out cheaper materials, things that wouldn't last. So the blueprints themselves just felt weak,
Yeah.
insubstantial, a shadow of what he'd wanted. It felt doomed from the start, really.
And that's what's worrying about flimsiness, isn't it? Whether it's a park or a policy, it's not just that it's weak now, it implies it's going to fail later. A flimsy plan means wasted money, probably lost public trust. It just won't stand up to reality.
Which brings us to a breaking point for Elias and to our final word,
Yeah.
denounce. This describes his big decision.
To denounce. Yeah, that's a strong one. It means to publicly declare something is wrong or even evil. It's not just disagreeing, it's a very public act of condemnation. Think of someone respected calling out a corrupt system. They're pointing out moral failures, systemic problems. It takes real conviction.
Elias just couldn't let it go. He knew the city leaders were pushing this poorly planned, flimsy project. It wouldn't be good for anyone, so he decided to act. Courageously, I'd say. He chose to denounce the whole project at a public meeting. He laid out all the flaws, the dangers in that flimsy design, knowing it was risky for him, personally and professionally. But he felt, it was the right thing. The only ethical choice, maybe.
And the power of denounce is right there. It's public. It often takes guts. It's using your voice to take a stand. Rejecting something you believe is fundamentally wrong. It can spark change, force people to be transparent, make leaders answer for their decisions, even when it's uncomfortable. Especially then, perhaps.
Okay, so let's just quickly run through those 5 words again and see how they built Elias's story. We started with sprawling, that set the scene, New Haven's messy growth. Then precarious, capturing Elias's shaky apartment, and maybe his situation too. His up and down struggle with the park design, that was alternately. The weakness of the design itself because of budget cuts. Flimsy. And finally, his brave public stand against it, to denounce it.
Yeah, and if you trace that path, you see how these specific words weren't just labels. They actively shaped the narrative, didn't they? They built the world, the conflict, the character's journey, dealing with challenges, finding integrity, all shown through those words. They were like key plot points.
That really is the key insight, I think. Words aren't static definitions. They're dynamic. They build things. They build stories, understanding, even how we see the world. So we hope you'll start noticing how words like these and others work, how they paint pictures and pack complex situations into just a syllable or two.
Maybe think about it this way. How often do you come across, say, sprawling problems in the news? Or find yourself in a precarious spot? Or hear arguments that just feel flimsy? Or see moments where someone really needs to denounce something unfair? Knowing these words, really knowing them beyond just the dictionary, can seriously deepen how you understand what's happening around you. So maybe ask yourself, what other stories are hiding in plain sight, just waiting to be seen if you pay a bit more attention to the words?